welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will be exploring chapter 6 from First Flight, class 10 English, Mitchell the Otter by Gavin Maxwell. A charming and adventurous account of the author's unusual pet. So let's begin. So we have certain sections of the story. So first one, we'll see the first section. So in the first section, early in 1956, Gavin Maxwell traveled to southern Iraq. Living alone in Camasferna, he wanted a pet, but not another dog because his dog had already died and he didn't want another dog. So he thought an otter would be really perfect since his home was surrounded by water, and also his friend mentions that otters can be found in Tigris marshes. So, but Maxwell had trouble receiving mail from the senders of the otter, and telegraphs and phone lines kept failing. So finally, his letters arrived, and along with them, two Arabs carrying a sack came. So inside the sack was a baby otter. So it had tiny scales of mud and soft brown fur, and Maxwell immediately became attached to it, and he named it Mitchell. And it later became known as Maxwell's otter due to its being a unique species. So the second part. So what happens in the second part is when the sack actually opened, Maxwell's lifelong fascination for otters began. And the creature inside looked like a tiny mud-covered dragon. And its body was coated with pointed scales of dry mud that hid its soft brown fur. And Maxwell named him Mitchell, later identified as a new species because it was unknown in that country. So it was characterized and honored as Maxwell's otter. So at first, Mitchell was very distant and indifferent. But the second night, he began to slowly start showing affection and curiosity. He loved water immensely, and splashing and diving and overturning anything that contained water, cups of water, bowls of water. Soon, Midge developed playful habits, such as turning on the taps to play with the water in the bathtub, and even playing around with the balls, like a 4-year-old, four-footed football player. And his favorite pastime was lying on his back and juggling the marbles on his tummy. And he made it so well that he skillfully played with that no marble fell down from his belly. It actually stayed on top of his belly, and he used to just roll it around there. So this brings the end to our second part. Now we will see the oral comprehension. So first question, what experiment did Maxwell think Camasferna would be suitable for? So Maxwell thought Camasferna, surrounded by water, would be suitable place to try the experiment of keeping an otter as a pet. So since otters thrive naturally in water-based areas, so he was very much sure that Mitchell would be very much suited for Camasferna due to its water-surrounded area. Why does he go to Basra? How long does he wait there and why? So he goes to Basra to collect his mail from Europe. He waits there for 5 days, but his mail is delayed due to telegraph and telephone lines being dead or having some problems. And then a holiday also caused the communication issue. So how does he get the otter? Does he like it? Pick out the words that tell you this. So he receives the otter when two Arabs bring him a sack containing it, along with a note from his friend saying that here is your otter. And yes, he likes it very much because the certain words actually describe this. Let's go to the prose and check it out. So you can see this one. So here is the otter. It was written by his friend. So the next lines which describe his affection for it are, the phase of my life that has not yet ended. So he was feeling lonely till now. So he has now found a new beginning for it, something to love for. So next one is the thraldom to otters. So his new obsession or his new interest has started for otters, and it is an otter's fixation. He has started fixating on an otter because he has started growing too much love for it. Just like a new mother, like that he is feeling a sudden imprinted love for the otter. Next question. Why was the otter named Maxwell's otter? So, the otter was named Maxwell's otter because it was a species that was previously unknown to science, because they have not yet discovered this species till now. So, the zoologists and scientists, they named it Rudragale persicellata maxwelli in honor of Maxwell. So it became known as Maxwell's otter since he was the first one to introduce the pet to humans. Since it was previously unknown to civilization, it was characterized as Maxwell's otter. Next question. Tick the answer in the beginning. The otter was aloof and different. So what it was not friendly, it was not hostile. It was aloof and indifferent because it was just keeping to itself. It was not playing with him, and it was just sitting idly like that. So it was aloof and indifferent. Next question. What happened when Maxwell took Mitchell to the bathroom? What did it do in 2 days after that? So what happened after taking it to the bathroom was, in the bathroom, Mitchell went wild because it was water place. So till now he has been having it only inside the house. So it went wild with joy, and in the water it began diving, rolling, splashing excitedly. And 2 days later, Mitchell escaped to the bathroom on his own and managed to turn on the tap and producing water, fumbling with the chromium handles. So it started playing with it, and slowly it came to understand that if you turn the tap, water will come. So it started using it to play with the water. Since it is a water-based creature, it always thrives inside water. So it wanted to escape into the bathtub. So next part, we'll go to the next. So as Maxwell prepares to take Mitch back to England, till now Maxwell has been staying in Iraq. So till now he has not gone to his hometown so that he can let it out and play in the lake side. So he prepares to take it to England, and he worries that the transport will be difficult for him, because transporting him through the airlines requires the otter to travel in a small box. So he is afraid whether it will burst out of it or cause any problems, or it will become ill. All those things is running on Maxwell's mind. So when Maxwell briefly leaves for a meal, Midge injures himself trying to escape the box. He has been gnawing at it and trying to bite it like that. So some of the wood splinters have caused bleeding on Mitch. So Mitch injures himself, and while trying to escape and tearing its lining and becoming bloodstained and exhausted. So with very time left before the flight, Maxwell is forced to put the distressed otter back into the box and rush to the airport. So on the plane, a kind air hostess allows him to keep Mitch on his lap. But the moment the box is open, it alarms the passengers, because they have not yet, many are not yet accustomed to seeing an otter out in public. So eventually, Midge returns to Maxwell after getting frightened and recognizing him and affectionately nuzzling to him and showing their strong bond. So people were frightened by it, and it started a commotion. But since for few days, Maxwell stayed with the otter in Iraq, that hotel room, so he was able to understand him and bond with him. So he immediately ran back to Maxwell and nuzzled in his lap and neck. So let us go to the oral comprehension. How was Midge to be transported to England? So Midge was supposed to be transported in a box not more than 18 inches square, which would be kept on the floor at Maxwell's feet during the flight. What did Midge do to the box? So Midge tore the lining of the box to shreds, injuring himself and causing blood to trickle out of the box and through the air holes and cracks. Next question. Why did Maxwell put the otter back in the box? How do you think he felt while doing this? So Maxwell had to put Midge back in the box because they were about to board into the flight. And it was only 10 minutes left, and the airport was still 5 miles away. So he had no hope but to put it inside the box. And he likely felt very terrible, guilty and helpless because Midge was already injured. He needed some medical attention, but also he needed to take back to England so that he can give medical attention. He could not stay anymore in Iraq. So there was no other option. He had to do it. Next one. Why does Maxwell say the air hostess was the very queen of her kind? So why does he say this is? Because she was very kind and understanding and helpful. And she even suggested that he could keep Midge on his lap, showing exceptional compassion. Because once Midge was outside the box, he began running fervently here and there, trying to calm down. And the passengers, they were new to this, so they were scared, and there was chaos among them. And the whole flight was in a commotion. So what happened was the air hostess saw that Maxwell was also feeling very guilty and anxious. So she asked him to sit down and that she will bring back Midge to him. And slowly she coaxed the otter back towards Maxwell, and it just climbed back onto his lap. And she assured him that he can stay on his lap and no need to put him inside the box. So the next question, what happened when the box was opened? So what happened was, the moment the box was opened, Mitch sprang out instantly and ran at high speed down the aircraft because it was scared and it was hurt and it was a new place for it. So it began running everywhere, causing passengers to shriek and panic until he was eventually calmed down and found and brought back to Maxwell. So now we'll see the fourth part. So in the fourth part, in London now, Mitch spends nearly a month playing happily with various toys such as ping pong balls, marbles, rubber fruits, and terrapin shells. He even invented a clever game using a slanted suitcase. The suitcase is kept slanted and he was given a ping pong ball. So he placed the ball at the higher end and he raced to catch it as it rolled down. So, and even during walks, Mitch behaved like a dog on a lead and developed several compulsive habits similar to children playing, having playful rituals such as walking on the correct cement block or something like that. And one of his favorite routines was to run along a low wall outside a primary school and delighting and distracting the children that are inside. So they are actively watching this otter because it comes at the same time during his walk, and it is a new creature for them out in the wild. So it was very interesting for them, and it was a playful time for them too. Next, the Londoners unfamiliar with such otters often misidentified Mitch. Some who are educated, they knew that it was an otter and it was new for them. But other people, those who had never heard of the name otter, so they used to guess it wrongly. So they guessed everything from baby seal, squirrel, walrus, hippo, beaver, bear cub, or even sometime a brontosaur, a dinosaur, type of dinosaur. So the funniest moment came when a street laborer glared at Maxwell and demanded what it's supposed to be. So he was completely confused and in disbelief about the strange little anime. So that is what the author remembers the most. Like what even is that supposed to be? So that brings us to the end of that prose. So now let's go to the oral comprehension. What game had Midge invented? So Midge has invented a game using a slanted suitcase and a ping pong ball. So what he did was he kept the slanted suitcase and he placed the ball at the higher end so it rolled down and then ran to the end to catch it or ambush it or pounce on it, and he carried it back to the suitcase to start the game again. So what compulsive habits or behavior what are compulsive habits and behavior, and what does Maxwell say the compulsive habits of school children and Midge are? So this we can see in the post itself. If you see the compulsive habits, actually what compulsive habits are, a person when he feels compelled, when he or she feels compelled to repeat a certain behavior and they find it hard to stop doing it desperately, even though they want it to, but they can't stop it. It is like it comes to you naturally and you can't stop it. So that is compulsive habit. And what the students do is they place their feet squarely on the center of each paving block, and they touch every seventh upright iron railings and pass to the outside of every second lamppost. Like you have kind of like quirks, quirks. So quirks you might have, like touching the wall. You can see children doing this. They will just touch the wall while going, or touch the cars that they pass, or everything, every lamppost or electric post, they just touch and go because they are crossing it. So those kind of compulsive behaviors that children have, Mitchell too has them. But his activities are little different. So what were these activities? So Mitch's activities were that he will run along a low wall and he will run along that wall on a front of a primary school. So he did this every time on his way back home, but never on his way outside. So every time they go for a walk outside, he will not do this. But once they are coming back, returning from their walk, he used to run along and tuck me to the wall. So he used to pull him, even if he didn't want to go. Maxwell didn't want to go. Mitchell pulled him towards the wall and he will jump on it and he will run along the line, entertaining the kids and teachers who are having their windows by that wall. So it was Mitchell's compulsive habit. So next question. What group of animals do otters belong to? So we can see this in the prose. They belong to the family of mustelines, and they are shared by the other groups of badgers, mongoose, weasel, stoat, mink, and other type of creatures. Next question. What guesses did Londoners make about what Midge was? So they were new towards otter, so they actually confused it with other animals. So you can see in the prose, if you see means they confused it with baby seal, squirrel, walrus, a hippo, a beaver, a bear cub, even a leopard cub without its spots. They thought so, and even a brontosaur, a type of dinosaur. So all these creatures, they assumed what Mitchell was. Next one, we'll go to the thinking about the text. So what things does Mitch do which tell you that he is intelligent and friendly and a fun-loving animal? So Mitch shows his intelligence by quickly learning how to turn the taps. He wants to play with the water, so he goes and he was watching how Maxwell did it. So slowly he started doing it even after day 2. So he used to turn the taps and try to find out how to get the water outside. So he invented his own games, such as like juggling marbles skillfully on his belly. And he shows that he is friendly and has affection towards others when he follows Maxwell everywhere and sleeps beside him and nuzzles his face on the plane and on his lap. He nuzzles in on his lap. So those words and those sentences help us understand that he is an affectionate animal. And for his playful nature, we can see that he splashes and plays joyfully in water. And for hours and hours, he plays with his toys. And he creates games like chasing the ping pong ball with a slanted suitcase. And all these actions show that he needs companionship and attention and love from others. So what are some of the things that we come to know about otters from this text? So what we gained knowledge about otters is that they love water deeply and they cannot resist splashing and playing and or diving into it and overturning anything that is containing water. And they are highly playful and energetic creatures that enjoy games and toys. And they are intelligent, curious, and quick to learn new things. Like once they see what you're doing, they are able to replicate it or duplicate what you're doing in order to do that. So those things we can find. And they have a tendency to spread water everywhere because they like to keep it moving because they are used to having a water source and they live in water source. So it is a running water, so it is a pool it is a pond or a lake. So they always want more space for water. Like they don't want it to confine to a little place. So like a small bathtub, they don't like it, or a small bowl or a cup. They want it everywhere, surrounding them. The next one, why is Mitch species now known to the world as Maxwell's otter? So because Mitch species is known as Maxwell's otter because it was a new and previously unknown species discovered through Maxwell's pet. Once Maxwell got it from Iraq, then only scientists started noticing that it was kind of a new species that was not previously discovered before. So the geologists studied Mitch and officially named the species as Maxwell's otter. And they gave an official name as Ultragale perspicillata maxwelli. So in order to honor Maxwell and attaching his name to it. So next question. Maxwell in this story speaks for the otter, Mitch. He tells us how the otter feels and everything. So they have given certain actions that Mitch does. So now we have to say how Mitch feels or thinks. So first one, plunges, rolls in the water and makes water splosh and splash. So this is exactly wild joy and excitement for him because he's a water-based creature. So it is a delight for him to play with water. Next one, he screws tap in the wrong way. So while trying to figure out how the tap turns and it gives up water, so sometimes he turns it the other way. So when he is turning the wrong way, he feels irritated and puzzled and disappointed because he doesn't know the tap goes two ways. Since he is an animal, he doesn't know the tap goes two ways. So since he is turning, he just knows he needs to turn for water, but he doesn't know which direction to turn. So when it is not giving water, he is irritated, puzzled, or disappointed. Next one, nuzzles Maxwell's face and neck in the aeroplane. So nuzzles means gently squeezing like a dog that comes and whines and it just puts its face and nose in your neck, something like that. What does that signify? So that signifies love, trust, and recognition and affection. So next we have to read the story and find sentences where Maxwell describes his pet otter, and we have to think which is are true. So we have to read the text and find which true sentences where we find that Maxwell describes his pet otter. So makes Mitch seem almost human like a small boy. So in which he sees that Midge looks like a small boy. So if you go to page 84, you can see that he spends hours shuffling a rubber ball around the room like a four-footed soccer player. So he imagines that just like soccer players dribbling the ball, he is using the ping pong or rubber ball around with all his four feet and trying to play. So that imagination, it brings out a soccer player to Maxwell's mind. Next one. Shows that he is often irritated with what Mitch does. Same page, we can go and find the answer. You can see that Mitch, when he turns the screw up the wrong side, so he gets irritated and disappointment at the tap failing to cooperate with him. So he gets angry when the tap is not giving him water. Next one. Shows that he is often surprised by what Mitch does. So same page. I watched amazed. In less than a minute, he had turned the tap far enough to produce a trickle of water, and after a moment or two achieved the full flow. Just because he had been doing this 2 days only. 2 days, for 2 days, Maxwell has been opening the tap for him to have a little water and play with it. So by the third day, Mitch had now understood how to get water without help of Maxwell. That is, he can turn the taps and he can get water. So he understood that. So he is amazed and amused at how much intelligent this creature is. Next one. Of Midge's antics is comical. So comical also we have in the same page. We can go. He juggles with the small objects between his paws and marbles, and Midge's favorite toys were for his pastime. That is, he can play with it, those marbles on his tummy, and he will not let any marble fall down. So that one also you can mention. And you can also mention this playing with the rubber ball. Again, the same one you can mention again. So those are the answers. Next question. Shows that he observes the antics of Mitch carefully. Now we have to see that he is actually, Maxwell is actually witnessing Mitch's activities carefully. So for this, we are going to page number 87. And see that he discovered if he placed the ball on the high end, it would run down to the length of the suitcase and he would dash down to the other end to ambush its arrival, hide from it, crouching, to spring up and take it by surprise and grab it and trot off to the high end again to do it back again. So that one describes how Maxwell is witnessing his pet otter. Next question. Shows that he thinks Midge is very ordinary otter. So Midge is not an ordinary otter, and Maxwell definitely doesn't think so too. So there are no sentences that specify that he is an ordinary otter. Shows that he thinks the otter is very unusual. So unusual in the sense like he is a previously unknown species, so he was named after Maxwell. So he was really unusual because he was very intelligent also. So those things you can mention. So next topic, thinking about language. So we are seeing that to describe a repeated action that has been present in the past, we are using would or used to. So for example, Mitch would follow me without a lead. So he used to follow. Mitch used to follow him. Then he would play for hours with selection of toys. Then he used to play with lots of toys for long hours. So the same thing, Mitch would tug me and I used to follow my brother all over the place. And he used to tease me when mother was not around. So these are all describing regular things that used to happen in the past. So in case of states or situation in the past, use only used to. So would is used for other things, and for situations or other things we are using used to. So we cannot use would for past, for stating any mentioning any states or situations. So for example, when we were young, we used to believe, we would believe won't come here, we used to believe that ghosts were there in the school. So 30 years ago, more even used to be housewives. So it describes a situation. First one was a state of mind that we are believing we are auspicious, or we kind of believe in the superstitious things. So those things. So below there is a table and we are supposed to identify what kind of sentence that is a state or a situation, and we have to put the correct form of words there. So Emperor Akbar used to be fond of musical evenings. So here, be fond of, it is a state of mind because he enjoys the music. His mind enjoys the music. It's a sensory reader. So we are using used. Next one. Every evening we would take long walks on the beach. So you see, take long walks on the beach is a repeated action. So would or used to both can be used, but mostly we can use would. 50 years ago, few people used to own cars. So since owning a car is a state of a position because for people, so it is the word used to is used instead of would. Till the 1980s, Shanghai used to have very dirty streets. So since having dirty streets is kind of a situation for that city, so we are using used to. My uncle would spend his holidays by the sea. So it is a repeated action. Okay. Since his uncle always spends his holiday by the sea, you can use both would and used to. Next is noun modifiers. So to describe or give more information about the noun or to modify a noun, we use adjectives or adjectival phrases. So for example, eminently suitable, wide flat belly, ricocheting bullet. And noun can also be modifiers like dinner party, designer dress, car keys. And we can use more than one noun modifiers. Christmas dinner party, say designer dress, or Maruti car keys, like that. So we can even add an adjectival phrase in front of the noun modifier also. So lovely Christmas party, trendy silk designer dress, frightfully expensive golden Maruti car keys. So given below, they have mentioned few words, phrases, and they have italicized some of the words. So now we have to find out what kind of parts of speech they are, noun or adjective or proper. So the first one, an otter fixation. So otter has been in italics. So that one is a common noun. It's a noun. So next one, the iron railings. The iron railings, it is iron is being chosen, and that one is a material noun, a noun. Next one is the Tigris marshes. So the Tigris marshes. So it is a proper noun. The London streets, as you know already know, the London. So London is a proper noun, place of a city. So next one, soft velvet fur. So soft velvet fur is adjective plus noun. The soft velvet plus fur. Next one, a four-footed soccer player. So four-footed soccer player is same adjective plus noun. Next one, given below are some of the nouns and a set of modifiers in the box. So you can combine to make appropriate noun plus modifiers. So what they have asked us to do is check whether the words that are outside and the box, they can be combined to form meaningful phrases. So for this we have a table prepared. So you can pause the video and you can go through this. For temple, we can have stone temple and you can have a white temple. And for person, you have ordinary person, incorrigible person, gifts, birthday gifts, marriage gifts, tremendous gifts, time, first time, 3 time. So you can put these correct words which actually make meaningful phrases. So you can pause the video and you can check out the answers for this. For profession, you can say ordinary profession, handkerchief, white and handkerchief, roar, low, roar. Those things you can put it. So next one. Read the sentence. He shook himself and I half expected a cloud of dust. So cloud of dust is a large quantity of dust and these phrases kind of indicate a quantity of something that is not countable. So since dust you cannot count and land you cannot, like sand, you cannot count on sand. Then drop of blood, those things you cannot count. And a pinch of salt, you cannot count how many crystals are there in the pinch of salt. And a piece of paper, you cannot measure a piece of paper because every time you tear a piece of paper, it comes in different dimensions. You can't exactly tear it properly. So we have to match the words on the left with the words on the right. So they are saying that more than one, they can match with more than one. So let us see. A portion of fried fish. Next one, a pool of, it can either be blood or water because it can, if you drop something, a pool of water is, there is a pool of water down the hallway. Please don't step on it. Can say like that. So both blood and water comes for this. A flakes of snow. So snow is usually in flake form. So it is flakes of snow. A huge heap of stones. Can say huge heap of stones. Next one is a gust of wind. You can say dust also, but dust was not given. So gust of wind. Next, little drops of both, you can say blood and water. So little drops of blood and little drops of water. Next, a piece of cotton. A piece of cotton for injections or something else. So a piece of cotton. Next one, a pot of gold. You used to say like there is a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow, like that. It is a phrase. So you can mention a pot of gold. Next one, use a bit of, a piece of, a bunch of, a cloud of, a lump of, along with the sentences given. So the first one has been done for us. My teacher gave me some advice. My teacher gave me a bit of advice. So can you give me some clay? So what answer will be is, can you give me a lump of clay? So clay can be taken in lumps only because of their size. So you have to mention, can you give me a lump of clay? Next one, the information you gave was very useful. So for this you can use both the things. The piece of information you gave or the bit of information you gave was very useful. You can mention both. Next one, because of these factories, smoke hangs over the city. So because of these factories, a cloud of smoke. The smoke has formed a cloud on the sky above. So you can mention as cloud of smoke. Next one, two stones rubbed together can produce sparks of fire. So, two stones rubbed together can produce a bit of fire, you can mention. Next one, he gave me some flowers on my birthday. He gave me bunch of flowers on my birthday. So for this, you can also mention that two stones rubbed together. You can also mention that two bit of stones or two pieces of stones rubbed together can produce fire. Next one, speaking. We have the exercise to describe author's feelings and thoughts. So they have asked you to play some dumb charades. So you can use your body language to expressions and facial expressions to describe the word. And you have to stay focused and use simple clues. Do not go for heavy clues and use simple clues to play the game. Next, writing exercise. So we have to write a description of a person or an animal that is a pet and you know very well and love very much. So what you can do is you can first describe the actions of the person, whether they are very comical to you or they are very angry towards you, or how from being very introverted it became extroverted. Those things you can mention. Then you can say the feelings and the bond of the person or the pet, like how first it never used to come near you and then it started eating from your hand, then it started cuddling on your lap. Those things you can mention. So this is how you can do it. The next one. So this brings to the end of the prose. Now we will check the first activity which we have skipped in the top. So we need to learn about the lesson to understand this activity. So this one, they have mentioned about some of the details that you should keep in mind while you are trying to adopt a pet. So you can have a read through this. It's very simple. Next one, somebody has gifted you a pet, so you are going to take care of it. So what are all the things that you need for taking care of the pet? So first one was done, that you need the food it eats. Next one, you need to give it a place for it to stay. So you need a proper shelter for it. In case of a dog, you need a dog house outside. In case the dog is sleeping outside, you need a dog house to protect it from rain or cold or something like that. And if it's inside the house, means you need a proper bed for it. It cannot sleep on the floor, so it needs a proper bed and a kennel inside the house, a cage, because you need not want it to be roaming outside house all around the hall and everywhere. So next one about it, health needs. So health needs means you have to take care to a good veterinary clinic for its daily rabies injection and other kind of any problems regarding its health. You need a proper communication with the vet and you need a proper address for a correct vet. In case you are getting exotic animals, you need to see a exotic vet. Exotic animals such as birds. So normal vet won't see birds. The normal vets only see cats and dogs. So you need an exotic animal vet. So those people only take care of parrots and chameleons. People have chameleons in their house like gerbils or flying squirrels or the sugar gliders. Those things like that, you have to go to the exotic vet. Next one, daily care requirement, that you have to clean their hair or to brush their fur, make sure they don't have any ticks on them when they are playing outside. So all those things you have to take care. Next, it's their behavior or habits. You have to train them. Any animal, it is any animal of any size, a cat or a dog or a gerbil or a sugar glider or a big dog that you are getting, it needs to be trained because it needs to know to exist among other human beings. So it needs to not bite others and behave. When you give command, it needs to listen. So those things you have to do. Next one, otters are found in large numbers in marshes. So what special arrangements would you need to take care of your pet otter? For example, London, in case of London, it was a crowded city. It is a city, it is not some kind of countryside. So how we have to take care of it. So first one, we have to take care of the habitat, because otters are water-based animals. They need a good amount of water for sampling, like a lake or a pond for them to play around in. So next one, the shelter, because they live in hot climates. So London is really cool because it rains most of the time. So you need to find room heaters, something like that for them. Next one is space for them to run around and swim, because they are very energetic creatures. So they need places for them to run around and exhaust their energy. Otherwise, they will be turning on the owner. Next one, diet and proper balanced diet. So since sea otters are water-based creatures, they mostly prefer sea proteins such as fish, shell-based animals such as prawns and those things. So you have to give them proper diet. Next one is the vet care. Vet care means, as I said you before, exotic animal care. You have to take them to them, so that those doctors are specially studied and they are practiced in taking care of different type of animals other than just dogs and cats. So next one is legal. You have to see whether it is legal in your country to adopt it, and you have to bring them legally and legally adopt any dogs or cats, or in this case otters. So next one is their social and emotional care should be provided. That you have to play with them. If you bring them as pet, they need constant bonding, because otters are very social creatures. So even if you see them in wild documentaries, otters are always in packs. They live in a pack, a family pack, and they always hug together and sleep and all those things. So they are kind of emotional and social creatures. So you need to provide that as a owner. Next one, the safety. You have to have precautions, like any wild animal should not be attack the otter, and you have to make sure that your neighbor's dog is not off the leash, and you are not letting the otter run around freely in the garden or something, so that either eagles may catch it, a large eagle, or the neighbor's dog may think it is a squirrel and it might catch it. So you need to take care of the safety also. So precautions must be taken care of. So this ends that exercise. Now let's go to the poetry section. So for the poetry section, we have the poem Fog by Carl Sandburg. So the poem compares the fog to a quiet, gentle cat. So it arrives softly, sits silently, as if watching the city and harbor, and then slowly disappears. So the poet shows how fog moves in a calm and mysterious way. So now let's see the book by questions. So what does Sandburg think the fog? Why does he think like it is a cat? What does he think it is? So the fog is being compared to a little cat. So next one, how does the fog come? The fog comes quietly and softly on its little cat feet. Next one, what does it in the third line refer to? So it is the fog. The fog is being mentioned here. What does the poet actually say the fog is like a cat? Find three things that tell us that. You can see the little cat feet. So it has the little cat feet, and it is looking over the harbor and city, just like the cat sits and looks over us and looks over the city on top of a building or something. So next one, silent haunches. So it silently walks, like you cannot actually hear a cat walking because it is so soft, and the pads of the cat is so soft, it can't actually listen to it walking. So those things are the three things that tell us the fog is like a cat. Next one, the metaphors from the unit 1. So they are asking us for new ones. So for storm, tiger has been given. So pounces over the fields and it grows. So for train, we have snake, a long winding snake. So long it is winding and it moves smoothly on the tracks. So those things you can mention here. Next one, fire. Fire, we can compare it to a hungry beast because it devours anything that it comes in contact with. Fire. Then school, you can say it as a beehive. So beehive means it is full of busy students, or always it is buzzing with something. People are always talking. Children are running, laughing, and they are making fun. They are always engaged and active. So you can mention as school is beehive. Next one is hope. You can say it as a nest because it is always warm and comforting, and it is where you return to always. So it is a safe, comforting place for it. So you can mention as nest. Then thinking about a storm, you have to visualize it, and you have to uh, hear the sound of the storm and feel the power and sudden calm that happens afterwards. Can you write a poem? So how to write a poem for this is, you can pick any animal such as a lion or a tiger, and you can mention how its roar is similar to a thunder. And you can use the sensory words, other sensory words such as dark clouds and lightning in the sky, and how you're feeling the ground shaking or your windows vibrating. Those things you can mention. So all these can be mentioned that this makes the animal come alive, that the animal is coming inside my house. The rain symbolizes as has converted back to animal, and it is trying to come inside my house. Like that you can mention in the poem. So the last question, does this poem have a rhyme scheme? So the poem has no rhyme scheme, and does not end with any rhyming words, and the rhyme is natural or rather than patterned one. So fog is written in free verse. So this brings to the end of the poetry section. So for a quick conclusion about the chapter, we can say that Mitchell the author is a beautifully captured prose that defines the bond between Gavin Maxwell and his unusual pet Mitch. So through the adventures from Iraq to London, the story reveals Mitch's playful and intelligent and affectionate nature. So it also shows Maxwell's patience and love and deep fascination for the otters. And the chapter highlights joy and responsibility of keeping a pet. And while portraying Midge as a unique character and creature whose antics bring both humor and warmth to the narrative. So now we have come to the end of our video. So for any queries or doubts regarding this chapter, please feel free to contact us at Go Ask Now, and or leave a comment below for any queries. So thank you for watching, and I hope you found the video very useful. See you soon in the next video. Thank you.